What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, we got to talk about Ghost of Yotei yet again. Talk about when this game could potentially be coming out. We got a spicy new rumor that, to me, feels kind of 50-50. I could see it. I could also see it definitely not happening. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about the insider, and let's just jump into it right now. So, relatively new name, at least for my experience. Seems like this individual gets a lot of things right. I know Reddit is definitely not a fan, so you could believe Reddit. You could believe whatever you want. If you don't want to believe the guy, you don't have to. If you want to, you can. It seems like some people, even some journalists, tend to believe him, but it seems like the gaming leaks and rumors Reddit absolutely despises him. So depends on, I guess, where you go. So he just posted on March 29th, mid to late July release date with the picture of Ghost of Yotei. Then he did a quote tweet to it and said, "Just for clarification, there are two people giving info. One who said mid to late August but has missed a bit, and one said mid to late July but has been spot on with info. My guess is it is somewhere in the middle." And so, okay, I mean, in terms of like recent stuff that people point to, is he did get the Doom, the Dark Ages thing right, which is this preview. Now, to play devil's advocate even on that, I feel like many people would know that date if you just find out from anybody, right? Somebody, they invited seemingly a lot of people to be able to play Doom, the Dark Ages early. If you just got one of them to tell you what date the drops were going to be, you would get that info right? So that's one recent one. I don't know too much about this guy to know one way or another, but I will say, does it seem possible? And I will actually side with him. I will say, yes, this doesn't sound as crazy as I feel like it does to some people, right? So the number one thing I think you would say when I tell you that, or, that prediction or whatever, he was actually told it, right? So mid to late July or even mid to late August. So maybe you go in the middle and you just say late July, right? Okay. Is that all that crazy? The answer is probably no. Seeing PlayStation's strategy, is it possible that they do a show late May, early June, and they just go all out, right? They do what would be only a fable nowadays, a PlayStation showcase, and they show an hour, hour and a half, whatever, and Ghost of Yotei is a big part of it. Could that happen? The answer is yes. And could it release a month and a half to 2 months after? Yes, but I think you're pushing it. That is where the devil's advocate part would come and say, okay, they have been more secretive. Okay, we know this. We know whether it's like even Spider-Man 2 was handled very differently than Spider-Man 1. But you look at like God of War Ragnarok, I think was a really good example of just one of those PlayStation games that you almost felt like, what are they doing? We got stuff up until it, and then there was like a big gap of nothing, and then like the last 3 weeks they actually did stuff, and it just felt weird. It felt like this new era or this new age of PlayStation where they don't have like 4 or 5 month lead-ins like they used to, like they did back 5, 6, 7 years ago. So, I mean, back and forth, right? Like it does feel possible that they've shrunk and they're not doing what I just said. At the same time, like all of these things I think have to line up so perfectly in order to make this work, because I feel like early June as a showing is the absolute latest you could do it. If everything's going to line up, right? You've got to show it early June, and the game's got to probably come out late July, early August at best. You're giving people 2 months, because the thing is, unlike even God of War that I mentioned, it's probably one of the more tight to their chest type things. I mean, Astrobot maybe is a good example of last year. There was only a couple months difference between when it was announced and when it came out, but that's a smaller scale project. I mean, look, it was a Game of the Year contender, a phenomenal freaking game that I've talked so much about on the channel, but it's not Ghost of Yotei's size. So I don't know. I just feel like, if you show a lot of hands-on, you go really all out in early June, and then you only have, say, 2 months in between. Here's the thing. Here's another actually element of it. Is there like a GTA 6 element to this entire thing? And the answer, well, I just kind of, did it to myself. The answer is probably yes. Maybe that's why. Maybe it would have been a little bit of a better lead into this game, but they got to get this thing out by August, because what if GTA comes out in September? Now, you don't know that, but what if it comes out September, October? You got to be ready to either get Ghost out before or after, right? So, like, which one are you going to do? So maybe that's part of the plan. I mean, if this works, it would be fantastic, because you have Death Stranding 2 at the end of June, and if you had like a month and a half later Ghost of Yotei, which, by the way, would probably help your fall, because now you got like a big game that you can kind of ride into it. But if you're going to do that God of War thing, if that is, if it becomes true, or just some fall game, right? You probably need a fall game if Ghost comes out in the summer. Obviously, another thing you could say is Ghost of Tsushima, did come out in July that year. I feel like that was always dancing around The Last of Us, though. You look at July historically, games don't really come out in July. June, yes. Mid to late August, yes. But normally, games don't come out middle of July. That was a very special year. The year that was the middle portion of 2020. It was coming, right after a month after, almost to the date. So, that was a different situation. This one, is in a different spot, I guess, versus Death Stranding. So we'll have to see. I mean, again, I'm not going to expect it. I guess long story, long 6, 7, 8 minute video, short. I'll take the under. I mean, I do expect this game in 2025. If it doesn't come out in the summer, I'm not going to get too upset about that. If you want to believe this, you can. I mean, if they do like a June showcase, I would be willing to believe this much, much more. We can revisit this topic at a later date, because then it's like, okay, at least there's something. I do think there'll be a summer event. There kind of has to be. But at the same time, we've been saying that for 3 years with PlayStation, and they've routinely let us down. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.